Good morning and welcome to the Practice Priorities for Accountants webinar. We'll wait a few minutes. I see a few people trickling in to the room, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Awesome. Well, again, hello and welcome. And first, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who's attending this webinar this afternoon, or for me, this morning. It's 8:15 in the morning here in Houston, Texas. My name is Nicholas Tyson. I'm the Global Director of Customer Success here at SmartVault. And over the last decade, I've had the pleasure of working with companies around the world to implement technology solutions to help their business run better and grow faster. And today, we're all in for a treat. Why? Because we have a masterclass on how to lead a successful accountancy firm today. With the help of 3 thought leaders in the accountancy space, we're going to discuss best practices on how technology has allowed their firms to be leaders in client communication, workflow efficiency, and cybersecurity. If you're attending this webinar this afternoon, it's clear that you find those topics important for your business. So, for everyone attending this webinar, we'll have a special offer to allow you to start implementing these best practices as soon as possible. So stay tuned all the way to the end. But before we introduce our panel, let's go through a few housekeeping tips. Okay, so first, if you have any technical challenges, please put them into the chat window, and Alex, our marketing director, will answer them as soon as possible. Secondly, if you have any questions for me or the panelists throughout the webinar, feel free to put them inside the chat window as well, because at the end, we'll have a Q&A session where we'll go through a few of those questions on this call. And thirdly, we'll be sending a recording of this webinar along with the infographic of the top 10 tips from our panelists after the webinar. So stay tuned, you'll get that as well. So let's now introduce our panelists. Okay, first we have Eriona. Eriona is the Managing Director of Majors Accounts & Co. She's a member of the ACCA and lives in London. Eriona, get this, has worked at Majors since she was 13 years old. Not your normal summer job, but now since taking over the firm, she has implemented a digital strategy within the business and have made a huge impact on the practice and their clients. Over the years, she has turned what was an established traditional practice into a digital one and has utilized technology to bring the accountant to client relationship much closer, which all of us love to do. Next, we'll go to James Twigger. James is the Managing Director of Accounting for Everything. He is a member of the ICAEW and lives in Devon. He was, get this, a few different things. The British Accountancy Awards Practitioner of the Year winner in 2015, and in 2021 was shortlisted as both a top 50 advisor by Enterprise Nation and the Hero Award in the Accounting Excellence Awards. He's truly a trailblazer in the accounting technology industry, building the best of breed tech stack from the ground up for his firm. And finally, last but not least, Sarah with those beautiful pictures in the back. Sarah's the owner of MoneyPad. She's a member of the ACCA and lives in Surrey. MoneyPad focuses on small owner-managed businesses. And when Sarah founded this 10 years ago, she thought it was really important to take an advisory role with her clients. And by streamlining practices within her business with technology, she uses that time she saves to really understand her clients' needs and really build that relationship and help them grow together faster. So needlessly to say, everyone, we have a wealth of knowledge within this group. So now we'll go ahead and get to some of these questions about client communication, workflow efficiency, and cybersecurity. Let me stop sharing my screen. Okay, so our first topic this afternoon will be on client communication. You know, as we all can attest to, in the last 2 years, the way of communication in all aspects of life has changed, including business communication. So our first question, why has client communication been so important for your practice? Sarah, I'll go to you first.
So for me, when the pandemic started, this completely changed, because suddenly we had to communicate to every client at once. Everyone needed us, and we couldn't ignore one compared to the other. It was all important. Everyone needed reassurance. We were also getting constant updates on changes, and it was just how do we deliver this? I'd never designed the business to speak to every single client in one, at the same time, and so we really had to rethink that. An email, wasn't quite enough. So we started with sending group emails, and with updates, and that worked. And then we actually realized sometimes that wasn't enough either, and we thought, let's try and work on something a bit more interactive. And that's when we started our Facebook group, which was for clients only, and was a kind of support group where we could all, I could throw in constant updates as and when I heard anything. I then did a live video kind of recordings in my garden during lockdown, just telling everyone what's going on, and what did the Chancellor really mean by that statement he just said. And it was brilliant, because it gave a way of feeling connected with your clients, even though you weren't seeing them, because that was the big thing. Suddenly we weren't seeing them as much, and weren't allowed to, and actually doing that, and then having everyone just do little messages, even little smileys, and you just felt like you were connected again, and it had a really good feeling. And it went really well. And from that, we started doing webinars as well, which we did via Zoom and through the Facebook group. And it forced us to go out of our comfort zone and change our style of communication. And we felt it was so successful with our clients that we're now kind of looking at how we can adopt that on a more kind of permanent basis, really, going forwards.
Absolutely. It's interesting, having that one-to-many approach that's personal is really tough, especially when we have so many clients in different areas, different time zones. At SmartVault, we have over 7,000 clients, over 25,000 users, and we're a team here in Houston, and we have a team there in London and Cambridge. So it's same idea. How do we connect with our customers in a personal way, even though it's virtually? And we, as well as, did a few different things like webinars and different things over virtually that were able to help us connect that. I love that. Awesome. Okay, Eriona, same question. Why has client communication been so important to your practice?
To be honest, we built our practice based on client communication. So we are a family-run practice and have been since we started. And one of the things that our clients liked is they didn't have to wait too long to get through to somebody. If they needed to come in, there was always somebody that was available to see them. But as you grow, that becomes more and more difficult. To give you an idea, before COVID, during the months of April to June, this was 2019, when people come into the office, we have a little iPad that they sign in. And I pulled up a quick report just to get an idea of how many clients we were seeing. We'd had 1,200 meetings in that 3-month period, which was a lot. So to go from that to fast forward a year later to absolutely no meetings whatsoever because of COVID, having business owners being really worried because they're worried their businesses are going to completely fail. How are they going to pay for their living? They might lose their homes. There were so many other consequences. So they needed us at that point more than ever, but they couldn't come to see us. So communication and being able to pivot to make sure that they do still have that access to us was super important and really key in, I guess, the success of our practice and then in turn our clients as well. So obviously we started as with everybody else with emails and things like that, but we were getting so many phone calls during this time. And one of the things that a lot of clients were calling about was furlough, for example. It was brand new, no one knew about it. Accountants probably hadn't heard of it before. I certainly didn't hear of it before COVID. So being able to kind of reassure them, act almost like a therapist that at some point for clients was super important. But with us, it was the emails, it was being on telephone calls, it was having the ability to I did quite a few webinars as well myself, which was not just for our clients, but for businesses in general, just to kind of give them regular updates. And they needed this information as and when it came out, because at some point there were new changes being made on a daily basis. So ensuring that they knew what is applicable to them was really important. to keep that relationship and just make sure that we were with them until, you know, this would finally end.
Very good. Awesome. I think you're the only firm in the UK that offers both accountancy work and therapy services as well. So that's good. You guys will take care of it. But you're absolutely right. I love what you guys did. And you guys saw how important it was, again, transitioning over 1,000 in-person meetings to something that's virtual and meaningful for your customers. Very nice. Okay, let's go to question 2. The question is, how did your accounting tech stack help you improve your client communication? And we'll first go to Sarah.
So we were already on SmartVault, so I'm kind of putting everything on COVID when that started, because it feels like such a big event. But before that, yeah, we had everything on SmartVault. And when we moved to SmartVault, we took the opportunity to really organize our folder structure, really think about how things naturally had to be saved, did big kind of like brainstorming sessions on it. And so that, along with the rest of our kind of tech stack that puts, you know, everything's on the cloud, everything's integrated as much as we can, meant that, you know, obviously when we had to stay out of the office permanently as such, it was much easier to handle, and we weren't spending all of our time trying to work out where's that document, where's that, and how should we do that. We didn't have to bring anything new in because we had a really good solid foundation of tech ready. It doesn't mean it was perfect, and I don't think it's ever going to be perfect. We've always got to keep moving and improving it, but having that strong foundation and having all the staff understand how to use it really helped with us on efficiency, when at that point time was so crucial that there was so little time to kind of handle everything that was going on, that it really helped us transition really with the whole lockdown and everyone being at home. I think we had less to worry about in that, and we could just focus on serving the clients at that point, rather than trying to deal with the internal battles of, right, let's set up a system of this, let's do that, let's move this over. So we were very grateful we were already with you guys at that point.
Awesome. So good. So you kind of had SmartVault as a core foundation of your tech stack and allowed you to really transition pretty easily. Okay, James, was that the same for you? How about you? How did your tech stack?
Very similar. I mean, we set up, so we've been going 6 years, and when I first started, I wanted to make sure that we were completely cloud-based. So that was kind of one of my things from day one. I wanted to be able to work anywhere in the world. So what we found at the beginning of the pandemic, we had a stack of tech, but nothing was kind of communicating. So we had one software for our accounts, one for our storage. What we're using something separate for our e-sign software. It was all in the cloud, but it was a mess, if I'm completely honest. Over the last kind of 12 months, been kind of working with SmartVault, and said it was kind of, like Sarah was saying, gave us an opportunity to review our file structures, our folder structures, and kind of bring clients in. And actually, yeah, working with SmartVault, especially the last 6 months, kind of migrating over from our older systems. Equally, we use TaxCalc as our accounts prep, the software, and that's been massive to integrate into SmartVault as well, and in the eSite. So it's been a huge journey for us, from kind of being in the cloud but not being very efficient with it, to now having kind of SmartVault as our core. And also rolling out Pixie as well. We're using for our management, our work planning. So yeah, it's hugely important when it comes to communications and just sorting out our practice, if I'm honest.
Absolutely. What I gather from both of you guys is that client communication is important, and having that tech stack that is strong with a centralized location of where documents sit, regardless of where it's going to go to different technologies, having that core in the middle is super important. So very good. Great. Okay, our third question as it pertains to client communication. How do you foresee client communication helping you grow your business, not only in 2022, but also beyond? James?
We've seen a massive kind of increase in the way that we've been communicating. And we mentioned it, the pandemic has been a game changer for many people. I mean, we repurposed our WhatsApp group that we had for clients. Actually, we opened that out to the masses, and to help, it became a kind of a COVID support. And that WhatsApp group is now being, again, repurposed now for pushing out updates. For example, the spring statement that we had a couple of weeks ago, we did a report, we pushed that out on the WhatsApp group. And that, I think there was more people that viewed that and responded to that and acknowledged it than they did when we sent out the emails. So I think, again, it's about looking at the different ways of communicating with clients as well. And so I think the WhatsApp group, we've got Facebook groups, So yeah, I think it's going to continue to help and evolve to grow our business over the next few years. Well, yeah, for good, really.
Absolutely. And we see the same thing here within our business as well. The different channels of communication, either that be through email or through a chat or through a in-product pop-up. Different clients, respond differently to different types of communication styles. So we have to continue to adapt our communication styles to be able to be in line with what our customers are looking for. Okay, Eriona, I'm gonna ask you the same question. How do you foresee client communication helping you grow your business, not only this year, but also in the future?
Client communication is key in order to grow. We've been focusing our time and efforts on getting all clients using our tech stack, with the idea of getting rid of the mundane data entry or non-value add tasks to free up our time for the purpose of being able to call our clients a lot more. Because if we don't speak to our clients as often, we don't know what they need. They don't know what we can do for them, because there are times where we have been implementing, as I mentioned, kind of speaking to them a lot more, and we're literally just calling them up and saying, hi, how are you doing? No other reason. That's all we're calling you for. From that conversation, we come up with a list of things that we can actually support them with. They didn't know that they could approach us with that help, and they were kind of stuck thinking, how am I going to resolve XYZ situation, whatever it might be. At least if it's not something that we can do ourselves, with our wider network, we'll probably be able to find someone that can help them with whatever they need. So we wouldn't have been able to assist them with that if we didn't have time to call them. That's one of the big things for us, and we'll be able to obviously upsell, strengthen our relationship with those clients, and then referrals will happen naturally, I guess, because there aren't many businesses out there who have that close of relationship with their clients. We're big on saying to our clients, anyone who joins us, if they don't want to work in the way that we say we'd like them to work, like for example having regular contact, then we're not going to be able to continue a very fruitful relationship, because we don't know how we can help. And then they may get frustrated at something and think, oh no, it's our fault. But if we don't speak to each other, how's that going to work, kind of thing. So that's what we're really big on at the moment, and that's what a lot of small business owners are loving, because they don't get it at many other places. Because I know accountants are super busy. I've been there. We were your typical traditional practice, and honestly, it was just head down, get things done to meet the deadlines, and that was all that we could kind of all that we had the capacity for. But by introducing technology so we can free up that time for communication, makes a huge difference to that relationship.
Beautiful, love that. Awesome, great answers, everyone. That was just the first topic, client communication. There was a lot of gems that you guys were able to share with myself, along as well as our people that are on the call today. So good. Let's now move to workflow efficiency. It's interesting, the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, or ACCA, that Sarah's a member of, wrote an interesting article last year regarding the importance of efficiency within a firm. From streamlining processes to incorporating new services to forecasting, and ultimately a better client experience. That's what that article kind of discussed. So, first question, how has utilizing SmartVault increased productivity within your firm? Eriona?
So we started using SmartVault in 2020. We moved during the pandemic to allow us to have that flexibility of working from anywhere. But one of the biggest things, and one of the, I guess, main reasons that we moved over, was the client portal. We have saved so many hours, and just generally staff are happier because they don't need to keep sending and resending the same document, sometimes 6 times, because clients will call us and say, listen, I can't find it, can you send it to me again? If they looked in their documents, they probably will find it, but it's easier just to give us a call, because we have it at our fingertips, right, to just send. So now we've kind of said to them, and we've used Gdpr as a big one here, to say, well, sorry, Gdpr doesn't allow us to disseminate any sensitive information by email, so you're going to have to log into the portal. Here is the link. You'll be able to download everything you need, and it stays there. So we've only uploaded it once. We no longer need to do anything else. So that has been amazing. And the other great thing is we can actually introduce external stakeholders into specific folders, whatever they need access to. It doesn't need to be the whole folder structure for a particular client. It could be just one section, which has saved so much time in the communication between us and them, and we've got the client in between who is trying to speak to us and maybe a broker or a solicitor saying we need XYZ, when they can go in and download it themselves in 5 minutes. If they need anything, at least they have that direct communication with us, so we can upload whatever they need. So it has been really useful in saving many hours just in that, to be honest.
I love that. Saving time is so important, and I love having to be able to share those documents third parties as well and really take you out of the middle of that. So that's really, really good. Okay, James, same question. How has utilizing SmartVault increased productivity in your firm?
Same question, also pretty much the same answer. We found exactly the same sort of thing. It is that efficiency. It's the amount of times that we used to get calls from clients asking for the documents again and again. They might have been going for a mortgage and they've asked for their SA 302 and tax overviews, and we've had to dig it out and send it again and again. And what's allowed us to kind of really speed things up and make it more efficient is by having that portal. And like I said, being able to give the mortgage broker access to that particular folder is a game changer as well. And then we can upload additional information into that folder as well. What was I going to say as well? So yeah, that was the main thing. Obviously, it isn't a bit of investment in time to get it set up in the first place, but yeah, it's so rewarding once it's done. As a standard policy, when we were doing the 2021 tax returns this January, we actually made sure we were downloading the SA 302 report, and then when it's all processed, we're downloading the tax overviews from HMRC as well, just having them there. So in fact, getting to a point where the client hopefully won't even need to ask us for any of that, it's just there. And then it's educating the clients to remind them to log in and not rely on us, and that's been a bit of a slower process, but as soon as they are using it, it's a good thing.
Awesome, very good. Okay, question number 2 around workflow efficiency. What other process improvements do you look to implement in 2022 to increase efficiency? Sarah, start with you.
It's a pretty big year for us for all these things. We've got loads on our roadmap. I think one key thing for us is to use SmartVault more than we are. It sounds unusual, but you know, we use it for our file storage, our document storage, but actually it's so much more than that. And I keep seeing the emails coming through of the new features and thinking, oh, we must put some time to getting these bits implemented. So that's very much on our roadmap this year, is to make sure that we are kind of using what we've got to its full extent. Workflow management software is our other big one, which we're currently literally implemented a week ago, and we're now playing with it and ruling things up, which is kind of the really big bit of tech that we were missing. And then the other part of that flow, I guess, is client communication. As I was sort of saying, you know, what do we do going forwards? We're getting a lot of clients asking to, you know, WhatsApp us as such. You know, this whole concept of direct messaging is just so convenient to them, and we're just trying to work out how we can incorporate that, but deliver the customer service, the response time, and do it securely, all wrapped up into one. So that, you know, those things are the key parts on our roadmap this year for processes.
Awesome. And Sarah, you already know we're going to get you hooked up with some smart hours and get you started with the workflow, help you out with that. Very good. Great. Eriona, same question. What other process improvements do you look to implement in 2022?
Workflow management is a big one for us as well, but I'm trying to focus on client-facing things that we need to be doing to improve that service, at least the perception as well for the clients, to let them know that we're always here and hopefully we're helpful. Videos is something we're introducing for as much as possible, so when we send them accounts, tax returns, whatever it might be, just a short 5 minutes max video explaining what everything means, because generally when you send a set of accounts to somebody, they might as well be in a different language because they have no clue what it means. So just to highlight some important parts that we know are the questions that we always get asked, like how much tax am I paying? How much was my profit? How much was my turnover? Things like that, and letting them know kind of what they need to pay and when they need to pay. These are all important things that clients, although they have somewhere in their emails, they will say, oh, I didn't know about this, no one told me this, because it's embedded somewhere in the email, which could be quite long, explaining what they need to do. So just bringing this to the forefront of what they need to do is something that we're really working on as a key thing to, again, improve that communication. And at that point, if they have any other questions, then they can get into contact. But generally, they will be better informed than they ever were, and they may even start asking more questions that we have never thought of. So again, something we can introduce them.
That sounds good. I love that. Okay, James, same questions. And I know you have an answer here that I was really, really excited to hear about. So what other process
so
you do?
we've been making some quite big changes to our systems over the last 12 months, especially the last 6 months, kind of rolling out the Pixie and obviously SmartVault. So we're now kind of almost at this consolidation kind of review stage for us. So we're kind of looking at where we are. We're talking to our clients, what they think of our systems. We're talking to the staff and making sure that they're happy. And so effectively, we're doing this kind of annual systems efficiency review. So we're kind of not looking to make any major changes, but we're just trying to make ourselves more efficient. And this is something we're going to be doing on an annual basis to make sure that we've got the systems in place. We know we've now got the right systems in place. It's just making sure that all the systems are working together, which they weren't before. We had lots of different cloud-based systems and nothing talked to each other. And now we're at this point, and it's now just that tweaking, little bits of improving. And again, so mentioned, as new features come out in the software, how we can really utilize that in SmartVault as well.
I love that, James. So again, everyone, if you didn't hear that, every single year, James and his team, they do a annual system efficiency review. So looking at all the technology that they have, ensuring that they're being up to date, making sure everything is talking to each other and most efficient. For any firm with any business, that is so important to do every single year, to take that time to do that. Okay, and actually we're gonna go to a third question. How have your internal employees benefited from the improvements in efficiency? Sarah, how are your employees benefited?
Yeah, so I guess SmartVault being one of the biggest changes for us when we did it. The staff were involved in when we actually planned the folder structure and where things should be filed, and we spent quite a lot of time designing that together using Miro to do that, which is a brilliant tool. And we put everything together, so the staff got a say in that, so they got a bit of ownership. And now that that's in place, along with other softwares, they're able to take more ownership of their job as well. They don't need to ask for where to find things. And I think sometimes there's nothing more annoying when you're doing your job and then you keep hitting roadblocks, and then it's the boss that's the one that's the roadblock, not and you're waiting on them to come back and confirm something. Whereas if you've got if the system's as seamless as possible, then they can just crack on with their job, which is what they want to do, and they don't want to have all these hurdles in the way, which I often find half the time I can be that hurdle. So it's really nice to get yourself out of that and have a system working so that the staff can just get on with their job, and they enjoy it more as a result. It's nothing more frustrating than not getting that job out at the end of the day when it's not your fault.
Exactly. James, same question. How has it benefited your employees there?
So I'm kind of also the roadblock a lot of the times. I'm kind of the hiccup in the road if things get to me, and that's where they get stopped. And where we found the efficiencies really, our admin team obviously spent a bit of time getting this all set up in the first place, but it's now freeing their time up. So we've got one of our admin team now helping out on bookkeeping, another one now helping out on the payroll side. That's then taking more work off the more senior staff. And now we've got managers that also managers, but our managers can take more work off me, and that's freeing me up to then look at the business as I talk about the efficiency reviews. But even more so, I'm now not working on Fridays, which is amazing. So that's just started now, and that's because of all the efficiencies that we've been making over the last 12 months, utilizing the systems that we've got properly, and that's enabled me able to kind of empower the staff, give them kind of new skills that they're enjoying. But even more kind of selfishly, it means I get more to actually get some time to myself for once, which is great.
There you go. Aren't you leaving today? On vacation?
Oh, yeah. I'm jumping on a plane later. Yeah, I'm going. Yeah.
There you go. Right.
See ya.
Very good. Great. So workflow efficiency, we talked through that, how it helps the business, how SmartVault has been a part of it, as well as helping your employees be more efficient as well, making them happier employees. And we know how beneficial that is. So now we'll go to our last topic of the day, cybersecurity. You know, cybersecurity in general is on the minds of everyone at this time. And Accountancy Today actually said in 2020 that with the increase in remote workforce and the ongoing pandemic, there was an increase of 300% in cyber attacks during that time. So first question, with the introduction, excuse me, of the Gdpr privacy and security law in 2018, how have you securely maintained your client data? Eriona?
SmartVault was key in this, to be honest, just because with GDPR, there are so many penalties and all sorts of things associated with it. So we are super careful with client information. And the introduction of SmartVault kind of satisfied that. It ensured that all information is saved in a cloud secure area, which has two-factor authentication. So it has the extra layer of security. And also for our team, it ensures, as I mentioned, we don't need to send anything by email anymore. Everything is just saved up there in each client's portal. So each client can go in, download whatever they need. And at that point, the information is their responsibility, what they do with it after. But we have ensured that on our part, everything is secure and kind of in that secure portal, but that two-factor authentication is key, not just with SmartVault, but we look for that in all softwares that we use. Just because, as you mentioned, obviously cyber attacks have gone up massively. So just being aware of that and regularly educating the team has been key in that.
Very good. Okay, James, same question.
We had a real wake-up call a couple of years ago. One of my staff members was on holiday, but they checked their emails on their phone, and there was an email from another accountant that said, "Oh, hand over information." So he clicked on the email, and it was a kind of a phishing email that said the other accountants had been caught out. He'd been caught out, and it sent an email to all of his contacts that he'd sent emails to in the last year. And luckily, so no client data was a threat, but it was that. So it was embarrassing for us. We had to then go and explain it and apologize to people. And I mean, it suddenly realized how easy it can be to be caught out by one of these scams. So we reviewed our systems. We regularly train our staff to make sure that they are fully aware of the requirements, the GDPR law. And they said, Zorian said that the risks, the fines potentially, if you don't do things right, it's not something you want to mess with. So we looked at the systems, and this is where we kind of started using SmartVault and the client portal, and we do not send things by email anymore. Simple as that. It just is not worth the risk anymore. So, well, it's not really been, but yeah, we want to be as compliant as we can.
Absolutely. Okay. So kind of talking through that, how have you educated your clients to really be more secure with their own data? Eriona?
It's been similar to what I do in the office, I guess. It's regular education, just because these scams and attacks are becoming more and more sophisticated by the day. So what I do with my team, and which is also what I kind of do with clients as well, just to say, this is an example of what I've received today. These are the key things to look out for. Make sure that you do check like the emails come from, if there are any links or not. So many different things just to make them aware. And every time I get an email like that, I send it off to them to say, look, here's another one. And again, with clients, letting them know that their information could be compromised, and it could have so many other consequences if their information is compromised. But apart from that, in terms of our communication with them, when they send us information, they're always sending it in either an app that we have, depending on what information we need, or uploading it straight to SmartVault. So we're limiting email transmission of information on both parts for us and the clients, and that kind of gets them used to highlighting the importance of their information when they then email other people as well.
Absolutely. James, same question. How are you educating your customers?
We're quite fortunate that we happen to have a client of ours who is a cybersecurity expert, and he recently did a master's degree. Anyway, he updates us regularly, so he provides a commentary for any of the latest things that we need to be aware of that we can then send out to our clients in our newsletters or again on the WhatsApp or Facebook groups. So we're regularly trying to update that. During the pandemic especially, we were doing a kind of a very regular webinar. It was daily at one point, but now they're down to monthly. But yeah, we regularly get our guests on, so he's been on our webinar a few times, just really not scaring people, but actually just making them fully aware that these threats are real. Even if you're the smallest business in the world, you're still there is a risk there, so you have to protect yourselves however you can.
Absolutely. So that was cybersecurity. Again, like we said, this is becoming so in the forefront of everyone's minds right now. So not only ensuring that the technology utilized within your firm is secure, two-factor authentication, making sure that they're passing all their tests to be a secure platform, as well as education, not only internally, but also with your clients is so important. Okay, guys, we're coming to the end of the webinar. So one final question. What last piece of advice would you like to give to our audience today? Sarah?
If I had to choose just one piece, it's really hard to narrow it down to one, I would say connect with other accountants. This has probably been the best thing I've ever done. You know, we don't have to be competition with each other. We can actually work together. There's plenty of business out there for us all, and actually sharing ideas with each other. It's just brilliant. You know, and it feels supportive. It can be quite lonely being, you know, running a business, and yeah, if you're stuck on something, there's always someone else that's probably faced something like that and can help you. So yeah, get out there, connect with other accountants, and just see where that takes you.
Absolutely. Okay, Eriona, how about you?
I would say if you're looking to introduce technology in your firm, from tried and tested over the last few years, it's really important to ensure that your team are on board from the first kind of contact or first meeting or demo you have with a tech provider, just because, as Sarah mentioned before, they get a sense of ownership. They're able to scrutinize it, see what works well, what doesn't, and they can weigh up pros and cons. And if they do like it and decide to go ahead with it, then they feel like they need to ensure that they're implementing it well and make it work because they said they would. That I have found has been the most successful way of implementing technology, and again removes the practice owners, the blockage, or the one who needs to keep pushing. You won't need to push it because they will do it themselves at that point. So I'd say that was a huge learning curve for me whilst implementing technology.
Absolutely. Okay, and James, last question. What piece of advice you got to give our audience?
So for me, I mean, we've had some great ideas about bringing in new systems over the years, and I've often taken the lead, and it's normally taken a long time to roll out because I've wanted to get things perfect. I haven't quite, or wanted to let somebody else get involved. I've said I'm going to do this, and then we're going to do it when it's ready, and it's almost never been ready. So my advice was really to not necessarily wait to get it perfect before you launch it. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you've got a system that does 10 different things, if you can get one or two of those things working to start with, go for it, and then you can add to the extra bits on when you can. Equally, if you haven't got time to do it, realize you haven't and get someone to delegate it to somebody that can help. Again, with us, we utilize SmartVault's the team there to help migrate our system from the old one. We could have done it ourselves. We probably would have made a right hash of it, but it was worth every penny to get that switched over and have someone else do it. And it took 10 times quicker than it would have taken me.
Very good. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for all the insights you provided myself and the audience today. So we do have a few questions from members of the audience. We'll take a few of these. Let's see. Okay, Sharon Turner, you have a question. Do you have SmartVault linked into your firm website? Do your clients access it that way? So does anyone of you guys have SmartVault, that link on your actual current website?
Not yet.
Okay.
That is something we're working on at the moment. We also have our own app, and what we're working on at the moment is having the ability for clients to log into each and every different app stack from our app stack that we use from there. So we'll be adding it to that as well.
Absolutely. And Sharon, that is possible. Oh, sorry. Great. Sharon, that is possible. We're going to get Sarah, Eriona, and James hooked up, but some of our customers, what they do is they actually have it on their current website, and you can put client portal, or this is how you upload documents, however you want to phrase it, and it will link directly to your client portal through a SmartVault. Okay, let's see what we have here. Let's see. Okay, great question. It's awesome. We're thinking about moving to SmartVault, but a bit scared of moving all of our documents from our current storage provider. So James, you did this. So how was that migration process?
Yeah, so we had OneDrive. We were using OneDrive for most of our data. We also were using who were we using? Virtual Cabinet. I think we were also using not in a particularly good way. So we were actually migrating 2 systems into one. Again, we worked with the team at SmartVault to help to do it the best way, and they managed the process, and they just let us know when it was done, and it was great. So
there you go. And in fact, everyone on this call, we are going to be offering a free migration service to securely migrate your documents from your current client, current document management software over to SmartVault. So everyone on this actual call will have that offer for them. That was one of the little nuggets I was going to provide at the end of this call. Very good. And let me see. Okay, here we go. Let's look at this. Perfect. Okay, let's look at what confidentiality or GDPR do you have to consider when setting up client on WhatsApp or Facebook? Did you guys have to think about any of those type of things when setting up Facebook or WhatsApp? Anybody want to take that one?
Yeah, I don't mind taking that one. Sorry.
No, carry on.
Well, I'll do the Facebook bit. I can't do the WhatsApp bit because we haven't done that as such. But Facebook wise, the group that we set up, we did a private group in the end, so that we could control who had access to go in. And then obviously we then spoke to each client, and sent them an email and really asked them if they wanted to be invited. So we did invite people in without their approval as such, and it wasn't for everyone, but I would say we had quite a large portion, probably about 70% uptake on it, but because it was a private group, we then felt quite safe and secure on that side of things. So that's kind of how we dealt with that, and obviously doing it with permissions. WhatsApp, I've not solved that yet, which is why we haven't started that, so I'll let Eriona jump on that.
Yeah, with the WhatsApp, I think it's just really important making sure that all clients have signed some kind of agreement beforehand, just to say that we're happy for our number to be given out to, because essentially the whole client base who do join this WhatsApp group will have each other's number. So ensuring that they have that in understanding, and you have it in writing first before you go ahead and add them to the group, is really important. And then obviously after that point, you should be fine in terms of GDPR, I would say.
Very good, awesome. And last question I'm gonna say here is, Sarah mentioned about connecting with other accountants, but I'm really bad at networking. Any suggestions? Well, I'll take this one. Come visit us at AccountTex. So AccountTex is going to be May 11th and 12th. There in London. I'll be there with also a few members of my team. Come by, have a cup of coffee, and we'll introduce you to a lot of different accountants that utilize our software and other ones. So very good. Thank you, Eriona, Sarah, and James for your time today. Thank you, audience. I'm going to put something right back up on the screen for 1 second. Okay, can everyone see my screen, those exclusive offers? Give me a thumbs up if you guys can see that, exclusive offers, perfect, thank you. So as I mentioned at the beginning, we're gonna give an exclusive offer to everyone who's on this webinar today. So free migration services, what James talked about, as well as a free onboarding, which is an end-to-end training program with our customer onboarding team. To get you started with SmartVault and allow you to start to utilize some of these great this great piece of software that helps you with workflow efficiency, client communication, as well as cybersecurity. Additionally, there we go. Additionally, we'll be having another webinar like this very, very soon. So we'll have a webinar with our friends over at Ignition and some tax assistant accountants, where we'll be able to enjoy and talk about how we can talk through onboarding customers, and again, how we can be efficient and run a very great accountancy firm for your business. So if you're interested, please go to go.smartvault.com/ignition to sign up for that webinar. And if you're interested in seeing a demo of our product and getting some of these offers, go to smartvault.com/see-a-demo, and a member of our team will be able to help you with that. So I want to say thank you to everyone that joined us this afternoon for taking the time. And thank you to our panelists, Sarah, Eriona, James. You guys are awesome. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us this morning or this afternoon for you guys. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Bye.